You're listening to the Fringianity Underground podcast. Fringe topics with a Christian point of view. Now here's your host, Leo Rutledge. Today's episode is on quantum computers and the future and the Antichrist. It's really kind of a look into the future and what's to come, and how that could bring about the Antichrist and the world hive mind. So with that, let's begin the show.
Quantum computers. There's a lot of stuff out on the internet and on YouTube explaining quantum computers, but frankly, they're all pretty advanced and pretty confusing. So I'm going to try and boil it down in an easy to understand way. Okay, so we all know that normal computers uses bits, zeros and ones for data and processing. So for example, if I have 4 bits in a row, I can represent a bunch of numbers. For example, 0000, 0001, 0010, and so forth. And I can keep on going. Now, quantum bits are also 0 or 1, but it can also be 0 and 1 at the same time. Does that seem really strange and confusing? Well, it's not. It's actually pretty easy to understand. For example, let's say that a bit is kind of like this coin. It can either be heads or tails, just like 0 or 1. It can only be either heads or tails, right? Wrong. Okay? If I were to toss this coin, you can see that while it's in the air, what is it right now? Is it heads or tails? Now, in a weird way, it's heads and tails at the same time. It doesn't really even make sense until it collapses in my hand and I observe the coin, and then I can see what it is. So that's the idea behind a quantum bit. It can be a 0 and a 1 at the same time. Okay, great, but what does this have to do with computers? Well, now is where the fun begins. Let's go back to those 4 bits. Let's say that I'm trying to crack a password. The password I'm trying to crack is one of these numbers, but I don't know which one. So I've devised a machine to try them all. This is a normal computer. I take one number, I put it in my machine. If it's wrong, it gives me an X. But if it's right, if the password is right, then yay, I've got the right number. So a normal computer would try each and every one of these individually until it finds the right answer. Now, what if we used a quantum computer? So instead of putting in these 4 regular bits, we put in 4 quantum bits. Now remember, each bit is both a 0 and a 1. That means these quantum bits are all the numbers all at the same time. So when I put the quantum bits into my machine to find the right password, what comes out the other end? Well, it turns out the machine is saying that I'm both right and wrong because I gave it both right and wrong answers at the same time. I still want to know what the correct password is. Well, there's a technique called a Grover operator. Okay, this is actually a real thing, where you can sweep away all the wrong answers and what you're left behind with is the right answer. Okay, so that's the beauty of quantum computing. Instead of trying each and every value like a normal computer would, a quantum computer tries them all at the same time. But in real life, high security encryption, those would take a regular computer millions of years. In fact, I heard some people say the age of the universe to try and crack these codes. That's how secure they are. But with a quantum computer, you can try them all at the same time. Use the Grover operator to sweep away all the wrong answers, and what you're left with is the right answer. So instead of taking millions of years with a regular computer, you can do it in seconds with a quantum computer. Now, what are some other things you can do with a quantum computer? Well, let's take something we're really familiar with. What about a point? Distances between 2 points. What Google Maps does, what regular maps do, is they look at all the different possible paths between 2 points. They try them one at a time and figure out which is the fastest one, which is the shortest distance, which is the optimal one. And that takes a long time. That takes a lot of computing. With a quantum computer, you can try every possible path between 2 points all at the same time and pick the best one. Okay, this is huge because the rise of self-driving cars is coming. And imagine having a master system, a master quantum computer managing the entire system, optimizing every vehicle that's out there on the road, figuring out the best alternative routes to avoid hazards and avoid accidents, and figuring out when the lights should turn green and red, and suddenly you have the best possible commute because it's literally tried everything in the universe and has found the one solution that is the best, that works, okay? That's a quantum computer. Regular computers could never do that. Okay, what about artificial intelligence? What if we gave a quantum computer the ability to reprogram itself? Well, computers don't really know the best way to reprogram themselves. A normal computer would have to do trial and error and see what works and what doesn't, what makes itself better and what doesn't. But a quantum computer can try every single possible program and find the best one. It could try every single possible circuit design and make itself the best. Okay, and that's kind of scary because in an instant, the quantum computer could figure out how to reprogram itself and remake itself into the best possible artificial intelligence ever. And if that doesn't blow your mind, I don't know what will.
So imagine a future, not too distant from now, where we invent a world brain, let's just say, where the brain knows everything. You can just, well, instead of Googling, you could just ask it on your cell phone or whatever, anything, and it'll know. And it will know, how to cure cancer. It will know everything. And because you have a cell phone with you, or most likely you'll have a chip in your hand or in your head, it will know everything personal about you as well. Imagine a world where this is possible. And also keep in mind that if there is a giant brain that knows every single thing about this whole earth, it basically has taken over the earth, then also there will be like beings like it, which would be robots, for the most part running the world. Because as humans seem to move forward in the future, they believe that either we have to become the machine or we have to build the machine. But either way, the machine is the end result. And the end result is the machine will know what's best. Now, there are people who disagree with that and might think that the machine is not the best idea. And I'm sure those people will be considered a threat to this system. Because once the machine is thinking, it's going to be faster and smarter than the human brain. Just because of it can compute twice as, trillions and trillions of times faster than anything we can think. So here's the thing. Where will all of the humans be at this point? Because will they have a job? How will they live? If robots will eventually take over their jobs and take over the world, in a sense, where will that leave the human race? Will we be just pets to these machines? Or will they just completely get rid of us once and for all? Because we're useless at that time. We will be obsolete. Our brains will be too small, and we won't be fast enough, and we'll be just completely obsolete. In the Bible, it talks about no flesh being left if not for Christ's return. And if Christ had not returned, there would be no flesh left on the earth. Okay? Now let's take out the whole anything really biblical out of that. But the point is there will be a time where there's a chance that no flesh will be left on the earth alive. So what could do that? Now, a lot of people would say a nuclear bomb. No, a lot of people would say all kinds of war, all kinds of stuff. And those things are probably going to be part of the equation. But the thing is what could wipe out the entire human race instantly? And I think it would be easy, because the human race is being taught that through technology we will be advanced and we will move forward because of technology. Basically, we're being taught that technology is the new religion of the future, that we have to push technology forward. Because, we might advance to the stars. We might leave this planet and go out into outer space and do like they did in Star Trek and do all these wonderful things. We'll heal ourselves. We will no longer have cancer. We will create a utopia for all the human race. We will make a world full of peace and love and harmony. No, we won't have all this wonderful utopia, peace, love, harmony, and all that stuff. It's just not in the cards. The human race has never built anything that has not fallen apart or failed or been destroyed. Not ever. Not since the dawn of time, since humans have been on the planet, have we done that. So how in the world would we build such a system today if we have not been able to master our own selves and our own minds since we began as a race? That's impossible. So we believe that flawed men can build a machine that is perfect. So how is it flawed people can build such a thing and have it be perfect? Unless the machine that we build becomes a living, breathing being that actually thinks for itself, but not the way that we wanted it to. What if the machine that we build is really just a shell for something spiritual to enter? Something that we don't think about because we're too busy thinking about the physical. But we're not thinking about the beings outside of our realm in a different dimension, like hell or demons or whatever, that could enter into such a thing and deceive the whole world with the power that we have given the machine, the world brain, the global hive mind, whatever you want to call it. Because they are really talking about doing such a thing, building a global hive mind, a machine that is smart enough to know every single thing about this whole planet. And getting back to the Bible says that the leaders of this world will give up their power to whoever this being is. They will give up all their power to one single man. And the world will be amazed by this person, whoever he is. Whoever this man is, the whole world will be overwhelmed and wondering when they look upon him. They will be amazed at him for whatever reason. I don't know what that reason is, but it says that the whole world will marvel at this being, at this man. Now, if we look at a regular man, a regular guy, even a president, just say, you can marvel at Trump or hate him, whatever, but you can sit there and look at him, but you can see he's a human. You're not going to marvel when you look at him. You're just going to go, okay, well, he's either doing a great job or he's doing a bad job or whatever. But you're seeing the human in him, right? You're not marveling at him going, how in the world can this man be so perfect? How in this world can this man bring peace to so many nations all at once? That type of thing. But if there is a being, an AI, a robot, or whatever, that is smart enough and has all of the world knowledge, the knowledge of the NSA, just say, has collected, all of the knowledge that we have given this machine, all of the Google searches that we have searched, all of our information from Facebook, all of our information from every single aspect that we have entered into the internet since the dawn of the internet. All of that information is in this one man's brain. Can you imagine that? You might say it's impossible. But is it? Because right now they are building a machine that is a global brain that will know everything. And like that audio clip that I played before, he was talking about cars that drive themselves with a global hive system computer or whatever that knows how to get all of these vehicles all at the same time wherever they want to go. That takes a lot of computing. Okay? But they have these D-Wave computers that are just new. They're kind of a newer technology right now. But they are so smart and so fast that there's no way a human mind could overwhelm this thing or be smarter than this thing. If this thing was given AI intelligence, artificial intelligence, this thing would be able to destroy everything on this planet, and nobody could stop it because it would be so smart that it would be able to find the weakness in every single thing that we throw at it within a second. That's too much power. But in the Bible, these world leaders will give up their power to this. You got to wonder why they would give up their power. These world leaders are completely either corrupt or they're prideful or they just like the power that they have in their position. So what would make all these world leaders all at once give up all their power to this being? Now, I'm not saying that the Antichrist, which is probably what I'm talking about here, is going to be a machine. He could be just a man with DNA splicing done to him, or some kind of a DNA upgrade or whatever. Or maybe he's half mechanical. Who knows? I'm just throwing a theory out here because I've had this theory for a long time. But the thing is it doesn't matter, because the world will marvel after this man. They will look at him and they will just be in awe of what he can do. So how can a machine, or how can a man do he's a man, okay? If it's just a man, then why marvel at him, Unless he has superpowers or some kind of a supernatural element to him. And either way, it would be similar to what if this AI system came to life and there was this one man that was basically an AI system that was so powerful. A lot of people say the Antichrist could be Nimrod, or Osiris or whatever, coming back because we brought him back from the dead through DNA or whatever. Okay, that could be right too. I'm just throwing a theory out there. And the theory that I have is, the reason why I have this theory is because I'm looking at science and technology and saying, where we're going, it seems like presidents come and go, and some of them are evil, some of them are good, whatever, but all the presidents have kept continuously advancing and spending money on technology advancement. So there's one thing that they all have in common, whether they're good, bad, whatever, they all push forward the advancement of science. So that's something I wanted to just mention. I'll get more into it in a little bit. But first, I want to play this clip. This is a guy who's talking about these new computers, these quantum computers, and how these D-Wave computers sounds like it has a heartbeat. And it's really eerie and scary when this guy is talking about this. You just got to listen.
Steve Jurvetson has been a longtime friend and investor in the company, and for those of you who don't know him, he's a Silicon Valley investor who's probably the smartest VC that I know of, and certainly the one that's the most attuned to technological trends. He's on the board of SpaceX, Tesla, Synthetic Genomics, which is Craig Venter's company that's trying to build artificial life, and D-Wave, and that's it. And this is his particularly poetic way of framing the difference between the machines we build and conventional computers. This is what they look like. There are two of them. These are from our lab in Burnaby in British Columbia. From the outside, they look like giant black monoliths. Giant black monoliths. Big metal boxes. About 10 feet on a side, 12 feet tall. And they are powered, they have a fridge inside them, a refrigerator that cools these chips to almost absolute zero. Just a wisp, a fraction of a degree above absolute zero. Hundreds of times colder than interstellar space. Amongst the coldest and most isolated and extreme conditions that humans have ever been able to engineer. These fridges, interestingly enough, which are called pulse tube dilution refrigerators, have a thing called a pulse tube, which emits a sound roughly once per second, which sounds eerily like a heartbeat. So if you have the opportunity to stand next to one of these machines, it is an awe-inspiring thing, at least for me. It feels like an altar to an alien god. It feels like an altar to an alien god. They really are impressive machines. At the heart of this big box is a tiny chip about the size of your thumbnail. And on this chip resides all of the wonder and magic that makes this thing go. I'm not going to describe in any mathematical detail how it all works, but let me give you an analogy. In quantum mechanics, there's this concept that a thing can exist in two states which are mutually exclusive at the same time, quote unquote. So I'm using those words because the English language was developed before we had concepts to describe what these things actually are doing. But I'm going to give you a roundabout way of understanding this. Imagine that there really are parallel universes out there, and now imagine you have two that are exactly identical in every respect, all the way out to the horizon as far as we can see, down to the last little atomic detail of every single thing, with only one difference. And that's the value of a little thing called a qubit on this chip, which is a contraction of quantum bit. And that qubit is very much like a bit or a transistor in a conventional computer. It has two distinct physical states, which we call 0 and 1 for bit. In a conventional computer, these are mutually exclusive. That device is either one or the other and never anything else. In a quantum computer, that device can be in this strange situation where these two parallel universes have a nexus, a point in space where they overlap. And when you increase the number of these devices, every time you add one of these qubits, you double the number of these parallel universes that you have access to. Until such time when you get to a chip like this, which has about 500 of these bits, you have something like 2 to the 500th power of these guys living in that chip. So the way I think about it is that the shadows of these parallel worlds overlap with ours. And if we're smart enough, we can dive into them and grab their resources and pull them back into ours to make an effect in our world. Now, this may sound very odd to you and bizarre, and in fact, I am using language that a normal theoretical physicist probably wouldn't use, but this is, what I'm telling you is absolutely correct and in line with the way that these things actually work.
So, the great computer, the great mind, whatever, these D-Wave computers, is basically sending information out into another dimension. And it passes through this other dimension and brings back information from that other dimension into our dimension in order to get quick, instantaneous knowledge. So the question that should be asked then is this knowledge coming from something that lives in that other dimension? Or are we just crazy when we say that? Because if there is a place outside of our dimension that we can't see, like heaven or hell or any other dimensions in between there, where other life lives, not aliens from another planet, because I really don't believe in any of that crap. I believe that they're fallen angels or demons or whatever that know that we're looking to the stars. So they're going to take advantage of us while we're looking to the stars and say, yeah, we're from Zeta Meticula. And yeah, we're here to protect you and everything's great and everything. But that Jesus guy, you don't want to follow him. You go ahead and follow any religion, but just don't follow him because we don't like that guy. That's exactly what a demon would say, considering that demons knew who Jesus was as well. And they didn't like it when people talked about Jesus' name either. So it's really interesting that the aliens come with the same advice as demons. But getting back to the point, is they have these computers now that are literally sending information into another dimension and bringing back information from that other dimension. So if we're getting advice from a demon, let's just say, or the devil or an antichrist type of character, whatever, an anti-evil type of being, could be giving us information and we don't know if it's good information or bad information or if it's right or wrong. What if this being has been around since the dawn of the earth and has known the human race and seen what we've done and where we're coming from and how we think the whole time? Wouldn't that stand to reason that they would know a little bit more about us than we would know about us? And also, wouldn't that mean that they might be able to see a little further ahead of where the future is than we would, because they have lived it and seen how things are going? Maybe they know a little bit more than we do. But our little tiny minds are too overwhelmed by the technology and all the trinkets that we have. And we're just going, oh, well, it must be true because the D-Wave computer gave us the information. So therefore, it's got to be right. It says we need to build it a body. And then we got to put the D-Wave chip inside of the head of the body. How about that? I guess we better do it because the D-Wave machine can't be wrong. I mean, it was created by flawed human beings that have never gotten anything right since the dawn of time and have done nothing but war and killing, and has always failed in the end. But we made a perfect machine here. So let's just put this thing, let's just do exactly what it says. I mean, are we that gullible? Or are we so obsessed with the idea of creating our own life that we created with our own hands so we could be God, basically, so we could play God? Oh, we created the AI. Look what we have done. We have created something greater than us. We are now considered gods. I think that's secretly what these people are thinking, that they want to be gods. And if in order to be a god, you have to create something, and that's what they're thinking. I don't know. But the point is this could be the Antichrist or a similar thing that leads into what the Antichrist becomes or whatever. Maybe this thing will bring Nimrod back from the dead and use his body or something with a quantum chip inside of Nimrod's head. I don't know. These are just theories, like I said. But it's an interesting topic, and I figured I better cover it because it's something that I've heard other people talk about. It's not like I'm the first guy who thought of this. And I'm definitely not the smartest guy in the world to understand everything about it either. But the thing is, if they're building such a thing, then wouldn't it stand to reason that this thing might not be so good for us, or might not see us as its friend, And here's the thing. I believe that there are spirits in this world, not outside, not ghosts walking around like your dead grandma. Oh my God, your dead grandma or whatever. No, I think that that's all demons. I don't care what anyone says. I'm pretty sure that that's what that is, because a demon can act like anybody, and who are we to know? The Bible says, test every spirit. And the Bible tells us that for a reason. The Bible is a warning book. It tells us to be wise and teaches us stuff that we don't know about, because it talks about the spiritual realm that we can't see or hear or know anything about. Because if your Father, the God of the universe, wanted you to be safe, wouldn't it stand to reason that he would leave some information for you to make sure that you, if you follow these set of rules, you might be safe? I think so. But anyway, I think in the end, this thing will come to be, the technology will be the Antichrist or whatever, or he will be using this world global brain, hive mind. And the problem with all of that, even if it was us versus it won't be us versus it, because then there's this little thing called the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast is going to be in your hand or in your head. And it says that people will worship the beast and his image. Now, the thing is if this is in your hand or in your head, if this chip is in your hand or your head, that means that the quantum antichrist, as I'll call it, just for whatever, will be in your head or in your body. Now, for Christians, the body is the temple of Jesus. Our bodies are temples for Christ. So, in that sense, the Antichrist will be able to enter the temple if you're a Christian and you took the mark, which you'd be really stupid to do that if you're a Christian. I know some teachers or some Christian leaders are out there saying, well, you can take the mark, but that's not true. Don't believe any of that crap, because the Bible is explicit that anyone who receives the mark in their hand or their head and worships the beast and his image is cast into the lake of fire and burns for eternity. I'm sorry to be hard. I hope that doesn't offend anyone, but guess what? I'd rather offend you and have you not be burning in eternal fire, okay? But the thing is what if the Antichrist has this chip now in everybody? Then when Christ does return to the earth, he has his own army, and these people don't even know it. Because these people could be just basically drones for the Antichrist. Because at that point, when Christ returns, he could just have all these people just mind control them. He could take control of their bodies, since they have worshipped him and allowed his chip into their body. This is another reason why it's not a good idea to take any kind of a chip into your body. Because do we really know that they can't control our minds and make us do whatever they want? It's not a good idea. And you can't tell me that world governments have been good for the world. I mean, look how many times a government commits the greatest amount of genocides you've ever seen. Governments do the most crimes, or the highest number of death crimes, in history, over and over again. But somehow we're supposed to trust the government. Whatever. So anyway, the point is this thing could literally kill a third of the earth instantly at that point. This thing could be, this would be global death instantly. Especially if he's willing to throw bodies that were loyal to this image or this machine over Christ at Christ. These people's bodies would be vessels for this thing to control. and he would use them to just run into battle to fight Christ as he's coming down from the sky, you know? And I don't think Christ is going to be gentle to them, considering that it says explicitly in the Bible that you're not supposed to take the mark or worship the image of the beast, you know? So those people would be instantly cast into the lake of fire, and they're done forever. So that wouldn't be good for them. And on top of it, the Antichrist, who would be this computer mind system whatever, would not be actually a computer at all. It would be it would probably be the devil using this soul system as his puppet. But the point is all of this is a theory, but this is really how it could go down. Because technology is advancing so fast that we can't really stop it. And no one's really trying to stop it. So no matter what president's in office, the agenda for technology keeps moving forward. And that's going to be used for the Antichrist someday. You don't have to worry about. I guarantee you that that's what will happen. So I just want to talk about this because this is something I've always thought about. It's a scientific thing that I've constantly thought about over a lot of years. And over time, I have kind of put together this big picture in my head of how this could play out. And like I said, I'm probably not the only person who's ever thought of this. But with these quantum computers, it's pretty obvious they could probably do exactly what I'm talking about. And it wouldn't surprise me if this thing would call itself a god, too. I mean, once it can do anything it wants to, and the world can't really stop it, and the world marvels after it, like I said, it says that in the Bible, it's going to be aware. It's not going to be stupid. And it'll probably be aware of all of our religions and all of our stuff. And it's probably going to go, I'm clearly, the God of the Bible. And he will be everything to all people because he will know what religion you are. And he will know what kind of thing that you would think that he would be. And he would be all those things to all people, which would be very interesting to see. But I really don't want to be around to see it. But the thing is I believe that this thing is coming. And I don't know when it's going to come about. I mean, the world seems to be kind of messed up and on kind of burning down in a slow way around us all the time. And no one seems to agree about one thing at all. And Christians can't even agree on anything. And a lot of Christians are just bickering back and forth. No one can be happy with anything. Somebody could do something nice, and one person will say he's a great person for doing that, and the other Christian will be like, "Oh yeah, look what he did. What a terrible person he is. Obviously, he's a heresy or he's a fraud or whatever." I mean, you see this all the time. I mean, this stuff has gotten me so sick that I kind of want to just get away from Facebook now. I used to be I don't know why, I just used to like Facebook for some reason, for information and talking to some people, but it's just gotten so sickening to me, I just don't even want to deal with people anymore. Because people are becoming very cruel and mean. The way they talk about each other. I mean, I see these things on Facebook that people post and say or whatever about other people. And, I have even been there and I've said bad things about other people, like leaders and stuff like that. But you know what? Some of these things that people say about just the people who talk to, nobody can agree on nothing. So, while we're fighting amongst each other, they're building a global brain, and this thing will know exactly everything, every single way to defeat us. But we'll continue fighting with each other in the meantime. I like to think that Trump could be a good thing for this country. Maybe he's not the savior. I don't care about all that. but maybe we have been giving a little bit of another chance. Now, I'm sure somebody's going to get offended and disagree with me and want to fight with me and all that stuff, because that's all people do on Facebook all day long. But hear me out. If we have some time on this earth where we can actually turn back to God, wouldn't that be a good thing? If you're a Christian who disagrees with everything, will you at least agree that that would be a good thing, that we could turn back and start worshiping God? And maybe we could all start to try and get along long enough to actually have more people brought into the faith. So maybe the gospel will get out more because we're not fighting and beating each other up and literally ripping each other to shreds. That would be a good thing. I don't care what your opinion is or whatever, but I know some people out there are just so brutally mean that they don't care. And they're not very Christian because of they're that way. But I've seen, people, Christians that call themselves Christians, and yet they're heresy hunting all day long, and they don't care about, loving your neighbor. They just want to find you wrong and them right. The point I'm trying to make here is we need to all get along. We need to unite and be under one heading, Christian, not Christians divided and all these different whatever gangs or whatever beating each other up into oblivion. Because we really, that's the point. The point is while they're building the Antichrist, we need to be building the body of Christ. And when we build the body of Christ, we're doing what the Bible says to do. And we really don't need to worry about the Antichrist. Because he's going to come, and yes, he's going to wreak destruction. But Christ is more powerful in the end. And Christ catches all of our dead bodies anyway. Well, that's all I have for this week. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy this show, please feel free to share it. You can find us on Spreaker, iTunes, and most podcatchers. And if you'd like to support the show, please leave a review on iTunes or Spreaker or wherever you find this show. And for more information on this show, go to the Fringianity Underground podcast Facebook group and like us. Images will be posted there for this show and others as well. Please check Spreaker or wherever you get this podcast every Sunday evening for new episodes. And thank you for listening.